Welcome. My name is Mr. Sunarine, and today's lesson is going to look at how can I connect division by a unit fraction to division by 1/10 and 1/100. Before we get into today's lesson, I'm going to go over some patterns that we'll notice when we're dividing by numbers as they progressively get smaller. So first, I want you to look at the blue examples here. So in these examples, we have 5 is the first number in all of the examples. Now 5 is going to be divided by 100 in the first example, 5 is going to be divided by 10, the next one is going to be divided by 1, divided by 1/10, and divided by 100. So we notice that when we go from 100 to 100th, the number that 5 is being divided by is progressively getting smaller. Now I want you to look at what the answer looks like, or the quotient, in each of the problems. Notice here when we divide by 5 divided by 100, we get 5 over 100 or 5/100ths. When we divide by 10, we get 5/10ths. And then our answer turns into 5, 50, and 500. So what we can notice and take from here is that when we are dividing by a number as we're dividing by a number that gets progressively smaller, the answer or the quotient gets larger. So we start out with 5 over 100 or 5/100ths, and we get 500. We can also look at another example that demonstrates this as well. So we can start out with 2 divided by 100 all the way to 2 divided by 100th, and we get an answer from 2 over 100 or 200ths all the way to 200. So what we can determine is when you divide by a number that gets smaller, the answer, also known as the quotient gets larger. So what you can do is write this in your notes and also look at these examples and write those examples in your notes to help you with this pattern that we just noticed. And when we're looking at dividing by fractions, I'm going to show you a strategy that you can use to help you make this problem a little more easier. The strategy to help with dividing by a fraction is called keep, change, flip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you an example, and on the bottom in the green is how we're going to change the problem with keep, change, flip using these strategies to then get our answer. So the first thing we're going to go through is keep. Keep the first value, leave it alone. So in this problem, the 9 is your first value. So we're going to leave it alone and not do anything. And you'll notice that I kept the 9 down here as well. The next one is change. We're going to change the division symbol to multiplication. So here we see the division symbol. We're going to change it to multiplication. So the division changes to multiplication. And then the last step is flip. Flip the numerator and the denominator. So 1 is the numerator, 100 is the denominator. We're going to flip the 1 and the 100 to 100 over 1. So here we flipped, and then now we're ready to do our problem. When we start this problem out, we're going to have 9 times 100 over 1. So 9 times 100 is 900 over 1. And we do 900 divided by 1 is 900. So 900 will be our answer here. So again, write this down in your notes. We're going to be using keep, change, flip for some examples on the next slide. Here's our first problem. We're going to look at 7 divided by 1/10. So again, pause the video, use keep, change, flip, arrive at your answer, and we're going to compare your answer to the one that I'm going to provide to you on the next slide. So in this problem, I just put some reminders. So in case if we're having trouble with decimal places, know that 1/10 or 0.1 is equal to 1 over 10, and 0.01 is equal to 1 over 100 or 100th. So we're going to look at this problem and we're going to apply keep, change, flip and see how well we can do this. So the first thing that we're going to do is 7. We're going to keep 7 by itself. And notice how here I just put it over 1 because we're going to, since we have a fraction, we want to line up our numerators and our denominators when we're multiplying across. So 7, we're going to keep it and add a 1. The division is what we're going to change. So the division symbol is going to change to multiplication. And we're going to flip the 1/10 into 10 over 1. And when we're done with that, we're going to multiply across, because whenever we're multiplying fractions, we multiply the numerators together and we multiply the denominators together. So this results in 7 times 10 equals 70, and 1 times 1 equals 1. We're just going to do 70 divided by 1, which is just 70. Okay? So double check your answers, write down the steps, and we're going to go into another problem shortly. In this problem, we're going to look at 74 divided by 1/10. So again, pause the video, think about how you would develop this strategy, use keep, change, flip, and arrive at your answer. We're going to compare your answer to the one that I have on the next slide. So here, again, remember that just in case if you're having trouble with writing fractions or rewriting it, here's some guidance. We're going to look at 74 divided by 1/10. And remember, we're going to do keep, change, flip. So 74, we're going to keep it. We're just going to add a 1 there because we have a fraction that we're going to be dealing with a little later. The next thing we're going to do is change. We're going to change the division symbol to a multiplication symbol. And then we're going to flip the 1 over 10 to 10 over 1. After you're done with that, we're going to multiply across. 74 times 10 gives us 740, and 1 times 1 gives us 1. 740 divided by 1 is 740. Now we're going to look at 2 other examples and try these on your own, and we're going to compare your answers to the ones that I provided. So in looking at the first example, we have 76 divided by 100ths. We're going to again write our problem out. We're going to use keep, change, flip. 76, we leave it alone. We're going to change the division to multiplication, and we're going to flip the 1 over 100 to 100 over 1. We're going to multiply across, and we have 7,600. That's when we do 76 times 100. And the last, we're going to multiply our denominators. 1 times 1 gives us 1. And when we do 7,600 divided by 1, we get 7,600. We are going to move on to the next question. In this example, we're going to look at 8 divided by 1/10. Again, we wrote down our problem. We're going to do keep, change, flip. So we're going to keep the 8. We're going to we're going to change our division symbol to multiplication, and we're going to flip the 1 over 10 to 10 over 1. We're going to multiply across. 8 times 10 gives us 80, and 1 times 1 gives us 1. 80 divided by 1 gives us 80. So take a moment, check your answers, see if you got it correct, and we're going to go into our summarization. And to summarize, what pattern do I see when dividing by a number? So what we notice is when you divide by a number that gets smaller, the answer or the quotient gets larger. When dividing by a fraction, we can use keep, change, flip to get the quotient. And here's an example that demonstrates that over here. So hope this was helpful, and have a great day.